Very much. I guess I'm lucky in one sense that my topic is caving, cave diving, and it's something that not many of you will know much about. I'm going to talk about an exploration project, an expedition that 8 of divers went to northern Spain for 2 weeks in 2009. Now, when I come to do talks and presentations on caving and diving, people always ask me lots of questions, so I thought I'd get rid of those straight away. So, no, I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm not claustrophobic. Unfortunately, I've never found any treasure. And despite what Hollywood would have us believe, I don't get to kill any monsters. So what is cave diving like? What is cave diving? Well, we put on scuba gear and we go into caves. That's it in a nutshell. Sometimes the caves are completely flooded and we can spend several hours underwater, and other times they're just partially flooded and we're carrying the scuba gear from flooded section to flooded section. Obviously a very harsh alien environment in which the equipment keeps us alive. Why do we do it? Well, the question marks on the screen speak for themselves. Nobody knows what's around the next corner. This is real exploration. We don't know literally what's there. Those question marks, no one's ever been there, and the only way to find out is to go there. On a grand scale, that can mean understanding how entire systems of caves fit together in a mountain. What's it like? Well, caves come in different shapes and sizes. Photo on the left is in the UK. Photo on the right, somewhere nice and abroad. Photo on the left, the UK, okay, you can see what it's like. That also explains why cave divers like me like to go abroad. So when the summer comes round, like everybody else, we want to go on holiday, and this year we went to Spain. We went to northern Spain, to the Picos de Europa. We're based in a little village called Cayenne, high up in the mountain, and from that village, this gorge, the Carriers Gorge, leads off. And partway down the gorge is our cave. So every day, we're picking up our gear and trekking down the gorge, and here we are with our stuff. You see, we've got diving cylinders, all the stuff we need to survive in the water has got to be carried there. It's about an hour along the track, not too bad, and then we peel off the side, down a cliff face, and into the cave. We've obviously got our wetsuits, we've got lead, regulators, fins, all the stuff we need to survive underwater, plus all the stuff we need to explore the cave, you know, to climb and to explore. Once we get to the cave, then we've got to take the gear underground. And unfortunately, caves aren't nice, easy tunnels we can walk through. There's lots of climbing, crawling, stooping, lots of difficult terrain to traverse, and lots of heavy gear to carry. So Simon's here with a little cylinder and a big bag on his back, and we've got about an hour and a half's cave-in to get to the first section of water, which is here. We've got M's going in for a dive, so we've carried all our gear to the sump. We take it all off, we put on all the diving cylinders, and we become amphibious. Now we've got to survive underwater, we've got to carry all the gear through the underwater section, get up the other side, the gear comes off again, and we start to go on to the next dry bit and find the next bit of water. The water's about 6 degrees, so pretty chilly, but because we've got to move on the far side, we've got to be in wetsuits. We've generally got 2 cylinders on our sides, possibly even a 3rd cylinder, then a big bag of gear as well. So it's fairly heavy going, and we become sort of Sherpas, if you like, in terms of moving our gear through an underwater section. The underwater section is an obstacle for us to pass. We're using gas. Whenever we dive, we consume the gas, the air that's in the cylinders. So those bottles have got to come out of the cave each day, they've got to be filled up, they've got to come back to camp, top them up, next day they go in again. So we're spending a lot of time cutting gear in and out of the cave to make the exploration possible. One of the ways around that is to use something called a rebreather. Rebreathers recycle the air that you're breathing. And these are 2 homemade rebreathers, so that's homemade life support equipment. Okay, and the reason we make them is because you simply can't buy something of this size and at this portable, that's commercially available. Oh, it's a nice picture. There we go. So another example of being ingenious, we make our own line reels. These are, when we go in the water, we follow string or rope or line. The rope on the right, the blue stuff, is what we use in the UK, nice and thick and easy to hold on, and that's really good. When we're abroad, we decide we use really thin stuff, which we like to nickname death string. Helpful. When we get out of the water, we're working upstream in this cave. So upstream means uphill. So to make forward progress, we've got to climb upwards. That means we've got to take all the diving gear off, put it in bags, climb up ropes, get to the top, pull up all the gear, and move on to the next section. So we're always moving up. We've got to rig the ropes to make forward progress. It's great finding cave. That's why we do it. We want to find lots of cave. But it's no good finding cave unless you've actually measured what you found, unless you've recorded it. So we literally measure it. So that's a tape measure in the water there. We measure every bit of the cave that we find. We draw a map of it as we're going. We use a compass and a kilometre and a notepad, and we literally record the cave to produce the surveys. You can see Phil here, he's got his notepad out, taking a few sketches, and he'll have a couple of people with him, somebody doing the tape measure, somebody taking the measurements and calling out all the details. And it's slow and onerous work, but when we come out, we've got a record of what we found, and to show you that, we showed you those pictures earlier on of the cave maps. As I said, we're working uphill, climbing upwards, and it's not always possible to scamper up and free climb stuff. So when we can't do that, we take an electric-powered drill, a battery-powered drill, and we actually put bolts into the wall, and we climb up to the bolts. And again, we've got to get the drill and the batteries and all that climbing gear at the end of the cave. So more and more gear to make the exploration possible. It's a big team effort. You always need lots of people on this sort of expedition. I'm lucky to stand here on my own and do the talk, but I've got lots of people that help me make this trip possible. And also you've got to have a bit of time for relaxing in the bar after a few good caving trips as well. So what was the result of all our hard work and all our efforts? This is an overview map of the area. The cave we're exploring is the blue one on the right, Kuliembro, and you can see after this exploration project we're getting very close to a connection with one of the caves in the area called Zichu. So we're pretty much at the same level. Unfortunately there's a flooded section between the two, so we're going back this year, this summer, and we'll be diving in the cave trying to make the connection. So we've got some unfinished business. There's still question marks on our maps, so we'll keep going back until those question marks are gone. Thank you.